At 36 years of age, is Harmanpreet Kaur still as important to the Indian team as she used to be?
We have talked about Harmanpreet Kaur, the captain, but now it is very important to talk about Harmanpreet Kaur, the batter, because she is not only the backbone of the Indian middle order, but she is someone who is very experienced and will be expected to score a lot of runs heading into the World Cup. Now, before we talk about her numbers and how she's progressed throughout her career, hit that subscribe button.
For a batter who in Indian cricket is known for her ability to bludgeon the ball, her career numbers are really interesting to look at, especially in the ODI setup. Harmanpreet is one of the best batters to come out of the Indian subcontinent, and it shows in her numbers as well. She's the third highest scorer all time for India when it comes to ODI cricket. Closing in on 4,000 runs at an average of 37, what might surprise a lot of people is her strike rate, which is at just 75. Of late, however, Harmanpreet Kaur has not been in the best of forms. In the last 10 innings that she's played, she's only got 295 runs at an average of 32, but her strike rate's been good at 98. Now, there's emphasis here on her strike rate because, as you'll see, even from her career strike rate to the last 10 innings, you can see a definite progression. And this is something that we'll also get to later in the video.
Now, she has been the backbone of the middle order of the Indian team for a very long time. She's batted at both number 5 and number 4, but she's owned that number 4 position for a lot of years, and hopefully she continues to bat at number 4 for the Indian team. She's played 71 innings at number 4, scoring close to 2,500 runs at an average of 42. Out of the 600s that she's got in ODI cricket, 5 of them have come at the number 4 position, and most of her 50s have also come at number 4. Not only is she the second highest run scorer at the number 4 position since her debut, overall in WODI, she's the third highest run scorer at the number 4 position.
And something with Harmanpreet Kaur that is also a known fact is that she's an extremely clutch player. There have been numerous occasions where Harmanpreet has walked into pressure situations, taken the team out of it, and has also scored a lot of runs. Of course, her most famous knock of 171 also came in a pressure situation, but we looked at the 25 half-century plus scores that she's got in ODI cricket, and we looked at how many times she's walked in under pressure. And a straightforward metric to measure what kind of pressure she might be under is to look at the average runs per wicket that have fallen when she's come into bat. On average, we can assume that 25 runs are scored per wicket, and so if Harmanpreet walks in a situation, for example 25 or below for 1, 50 or below for 2, 75 or below for 3, and so on, we consider that a pressure situation. And so in such scenarios, Harmanpreet has walked in 11 out of the 25 times where she's been able to come in and score 50 plus runs for her team. On average, she's walked in at a score of 75 when the wickets have been falling and she scores 50 plus, but particularly at number 4, she's come in when the average score has been 70 for 2. Now, while 70 for 2 might seem like a comfortable position for a team, in reality, it's much tougher than that, especially considering the fact that this is the ODI format where you have 50 overs of play, and so for Harmanpreet to come in at number 4, ensure that she not only steadies the ship but also creates partnerships and is able to get a score of 50 or 100 plus, makes this a crucial position and an important juncture for her to walk in.
Before we continue talking about her numbers and how she's progressed from early on in her career to now, it's important to understand what her technique looks like and what makes her really special. Something that is very distinctive about her batting and very evident when you watch her bat is a high bat swing. When you look at a bat swing, especially after when the ball has been delivered from the bowler, the bat goes above the shoulder, and in contact, usually Harmanpreet Kaur looks to extend her arms, and even when she's playing a drive or a lofted shot, regardless of if it's a spinner or a fast bowler, she's looking to make sure she has that downward swing in one flow. Now this helps because even if she doesn't have a lot of power behind the shot, now because of the bat swing and timing, the ball travels further and much faster than it usually would. But it's not just this, right? As a middle order batter, you need to be good at playing both spin and pace, and she really is. She has a sweep shot that she can bring out at any situation against the spinners, and she has all kind of sweeps in her display. And it's not just the conventional kind of sweep. She has the slog sweep, she has the reverse sweep, and this only helps because knowing that the World Cup is in India and where a lot of spinners will be at play, it is a very good shot to make sure you're putting the spinners under pressure.
Now, if we dial it back a bit and talk about Harman's career, something that people often think about is why, despite her playing 126 innings and being one of India's best batters, but still has an average of just 37. And this is where we come to the first and probably one of the bigger problems that Harmanpreet has had through her career, but also something that she's been able to address recently. And that is the number of times that Harmanpreet has been dismissed between the scores of 20 and 49. And basically this means that a lot of times she's getting set and then getting dismissed. An unwanted record in the name of Harmanpreet Kaur is that she is the 4th highest on the list of dismissals between 20 and 49 in ODI cricket. In fact, from her debut up until Jan 1st, 2020, she's been dismissed 31 times in just 82 innings between a score of 20 and 49. This means that during this period, she's been dismissed 37% of the times between between the score or after getting set. Not only that, this was the period where she averaged just 34.8 in ODI cricket. But if you look at her improvement, that is from Jan 1st, 2020 up till the present day, there's definitely been a reduction in the number of times she's gotten out after being set. In the 44 innings she's played in this period, she's only been dismissed 13 times between the scores of 20 and 49. And so in this period, she's only been dismissed 29.5% of the times after getting set. What's also positive here is that her average has improved much more. It's 42.4. And what this means for the team is that there's a number 4 batter now who is not getting dismissed after she gets set. This becomes very important, especially in big tournaments where if India are in a scenario that they lose 2 wickets, at least you know with Harman, she is going to give you that 40-50 runs, going to stitch in a partnership and be there and create a platform for the later batters to come in and take the game to the opposition.
Now the second problem that she has, especially batting at number 4, being the middle order batter, is her strike rate. Something that you wouldn't necessarily associate with her, but when you look at her numbers, it is quite concerning. What is very interesting is we've talked about Smriti Mandhana and her batting. If you haven't watched their video, go check it out. But even in those stats, you can really see that Harmanpreet Kaur is one of the worst strike rates in Indian cricket. In fact, until Jan 2020 from her debut, she had a strike rate of just 68. When we talk about strike rates in ODI cricket, it's not necessarily important for you to hit a lot of 6s and 4s, but it is very, very important for you to be able to rotate strike and make sure you are sticking around the 80 to 100 strike rate mark, even if you aren't getting a lot of boundaries, which is what Harmanpreet Kaur is able to do since 2020, where she's not only picked up her average but also a strike rate. Since Jan 1st, 2020, she's had a strike rate of 87, which is an improvement of 35%. And it's not just this. For someone who used to strike at 69 until 2020 at number 4, since Jan 1st, 2020, she strikes at almost 90. If you look at these numbers and if you look at a year-by-year strike rate and averages, something very, very important and a good observation to be made is the fact that every time she scored a lot of runs, every time her average yearly has been good, she scored at a good strike rate.
And this ties in with one of the most important aspects of Harmanpreet Kaur's game, and that is her ability to accelerate as soon as she's set in an innings. And for this, we'll consider 2 of her best innings that she's played for India, a 171 against Australia and a 143 not out against England. If you'll see this graph, you'll realize that as soon as Harmanpreet Kaur is set, the acceleration is unreal. Up till the score of 50, her strike rate was below 100. Between 50 and 99, the strike rate went up to almost 200. But what's mind-boggling is her acceleration after she gets to the century. From 100 to 171, she strikes at a mind-boggling 280. Now, these are numbers that you rarely ever see, not just in women's cricket, but in any form of cricket. Not just this, even if you look at her 143 not out versus England, and you'll see her progression through the innings. This is where she batted for an extremely long time, playing till the end of the innings. And you'll see that at the end of every 10th over interval, her strike rate just keeps going up and up. What is a decent strike rate of 83 at the end of the 40th over goes up by 50% when it comes to the end of the 50th over, with her striking at 128.
Now, something to keep in mind here is that if you're batting at number 4, even if your acceleration by the end of the innings is great, you need to make sure when you're stepping in, especially when the team is under pressure, you need to be able to make sure you're not only consuming a lot of balls, but also being able to score runs off those deliveries. This ensures that you're not just a sitting duck, but you're able to keep the scoreboard ticking. Her improvement was very, very evident in the WPLs in the last couple of years, because this facet of the game isn't a technical fix, but a mindset change. She has the potential, she has the bat swing and the power, but her ability to do that from the get-go is something our Mumbai Indians coach helped her with in the WPL. In the WPL of 2023, in the first 10 balls, she had a strike rate of just 73. Whereas in 2024, in her first 10 balls, she had a strike rate of 93, which is an improvement in itself, but not good enough for T20 cricket. Whereas when you come to the WPL of 2025, that strike rate skyrockets from 93 to 122.
Now, of course, these are all numbers and it does paint a picture, but not something that is black and white. What we also need to take into account was that earlier on in Harmanpreet's career, she was one of the only few batters who was holding that middle order together. Whereas now, what's changed is that the Indian middle order is probably the best it's been in a very long time. And this is evident because of the changes in mindset that the Indian girls have had, especially in that middle order. Since 2020 up till December 2024, the Indian middle order was having an economy rate of just 4.88. Whereas ever since that 3-match series that India played in December 2024 against Australia, the middle order has been having an economy rate of 6.82 runs per over. That is a drastic increase in the ability for these girls to be able to score runs quickly. Not only that, but if you'll also look at this graph, you'll see that a lot of things here have changed. Not only has the intent to attack increased, but also the ability of these players to be able to rotate strike more freely and do it more consistently is something that has gone up. And this in turn has resulted in an overall strike rate and run rate per over increase for the Indian team. In fact, if you look at this graph, you'll also see that Harmanpreet Kaur sits right in the middle of these batters, where all of them have a strike rate of over 90 and all of them average around 30 or more. Now, what this means is that India has a middle order where they can rely on multiple batters to come in and do the job, and Harmanpreet's job has also become a lot more easier, and it's become easier for her to come in, express herself and take the attack to the opposition.
Because of all of this, Harmanpreet Kaur's position at the number 4 and her as a batter is very, very important for the Indian team. Of course, we can keep talking about her numbers, but what will be more important is for her to score runs in England. Because not only will that form be carried over to possibly Australia and then the World Cup, but it's something she will need for her own confidence. If you have enjoyed this video, like, share and subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out all our other women's cricket video that we put out every Monday. If you haven't followed us on our socials, do that too. It's in our description below. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.